Hello and welcome to my video today. I have a new product in from FITCAMX. This is a customized dash cam for the Fisker Ocean. I'm going to be opening up the box, checking it out, and installing it in my car today. So let's get started. Here is the brown cardboard box that it was shipped in. I am going to remove the inner box from it. And this is what it looks like. Turn it around. We do have some information on the rear. We have caution. Please turn off the power of the car before installation. Please enter the app to format the memory card for the first use when the car is serviced, repaired, or the battery is replaced. Please connect the app to check whether the dash cam is working properly. And the dash cam is not responsible for any traffic accident. Please check the working status of the dash cam regularly. And then it's repeated in a whole bunch of languages. We have the website right here, FITCAMX.com, and the email support. Let's remove the top of the box. We have some soft styrofoam on top for protection. And we have a number of different things in bags here. Let's look at this one here. We have some bubble wrap, keeping it protected, and a plastic bag. And here we have a replacement for the upper console area where this is going to be mounted. And I'll show you more details when we put it in the car. And then the modification is the dash cam itself is kind of built into the cover now. So the original covers in the car, when you take them off, you can put them aside. You're not going to need them. And then inside that is the dash cam and all the wiring for it. We have these two right here. So what I'll do is I'll explain that in a little bit. Let's look inside this bag here. And here is the other part of the, let me move this out of the way. So when these get mounted in the car, you're going to be connecting them together, and that's kind of what it's going to look like from the inside. When you're looking up at it, when it's mounted in the car, you'll see it like this. It's going to replace those existing panels. Back to the box. What else we got in here? Well, we do have the user manual and an email support card. This will go over how to install it in the vehicle. Let's look in this bag here. All right, so this is the rear camera, and this is going to be mounted in the liftgate area. Has some protective plastic over the lens, this side up, and we got some double-sided tape there for adhesion. And then this can be rotated for best viewing angle. And then there's a whole bunch of cable here. And this will be routed along the inside of the car from the rear to the front, where it will attach to the dash cam up here. So I'll show you how to do that. And then we have this bag here. And we have an SD card reader with USB, and it comes with a 64 gigabyte micro SD card. So this would get inserted in the dash cam, and then when you need to read this, you can place it in the adapter here. Oh, I had it in right the first time. And then this can be plugged into a computer to read the files. We have a plastic pry bar to help in the installation process. And then we also have the adapter here, which will connect to the vehicle. This will attach to one of the cables on the dash cam, and then this will attach to the car's port inside that area, and then the connector in the car is going to connect to this. So it's called a pigtail adapter. So this will, I'm guessing they have foam on here so that there's no vibration. So yeah, so this is part of the installation. And what else do we have in here? This looks like a mount. So that's everything that comes in a box. The protective tape can be removed. This is there in shipping to keep everything from moving around. Just going to take all that off. We don't need that anymore. Also, the cables are clearly labeled so that the rear camera that I showed you right here would connect right here. And then this would be routed in the overhead area that will be hidden. For the power, you would attach this here. There's a line up here like that. That will snap into place. And then this can be attached overhead. Another thing I want to mention is when this is put together, there's going to be a little slot here for the micro SD card that you can insert it, and you'll have access from the outside of the shell. All right, I am now inside the car and ready to start the installation. One thing I recommend is moving the visors out of the way. It gives you more room to work in this area since we're going to be removing the two parts of this plastic panel. We're going to be using the plastic pry bar, and I find the easiest way is to go along the top here, pull it up and away from the glass, and then you're going to be able to slide it to the left. There is a line here where the two pieces meet, and there's some clips along there. So let's get started with that. All right, so I got those unclipped, and now I'm going to slide this off into the left. May need a little bit of assistance with the pry bar. There we go. And now we're going to do the same with the other side. You can pull it down. There's a clip right here. And it should separate like that. Place that aside. All right, so now we have a view of the area underneath the plastic trim. We have our ADAS module right here, and that's the fan that usually here sometimes. Up here is the connector. This is the one that we're going to remove. So I already have it halfway out, so I'm going to take the plastic pry bar and just remove it the rest of the way. Pop it out like that. Then we're going to pull it down. And what this is the connector that is the rain sensor for the wipers. And we're going to connect this into one end of the dash cam wiring harness. And then the other end will go back into this original plug up here. Now we can take the replacement trim piece and get the right side module. This one is going to go in this area right here. And we're going to line it up with the holes that are existing in that mount. So I am just going to loosely place it in for now. Get this all lined up, and now I'm going to push it in. Now we're going to take the other half, which has the dash cam module in it, and we're also going to have a wire for the rear camera. So we're going to make sure that that is accessible. I'm going to place that so it's on the upper area here so that we can route it along the roof line. So I'm going to have that loose. And then we are going to attach the existing connector here. We're going to insert that into the Y adapter. So now we have that one. And then we're going to insert the other end back into that plug that was up here. We have the cable on the Y adapter, and you can see that red plug is inserted into the connector for the rain sensor. So we have everything ready here, and now we're going to just gently push all the wiring into this area here. Make sure nothing gets in front of the fan. We don't want to have anything interrupting that. And we're just going to place all the wires in here and then put the cover on. All right, now I'm going to slide everything in. All right, so I've positioned the cover close to where it's going to be inserted. One thing I want to make sure is that the connector for the dash cam, the rear dash cam, I'm going to attach that to the rear cable. And I'm going to tuck it behind here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck the cable under the headliner. And you can use the plastic pry bar to kind of squeeze it in that area. I just want to get this started before I put the cover on because I don't want to have a problem with this cable. All right, so you can see here I have the cable for the rear camera, and I have it tucked underneath the headliner, and I just have it going a little bit over so that it is right here. And then I'm going to route it all the way here and down and across and then go towards the back. But I want to make sure that I have that connected before I put this cover on because it's a lot easier to do that now while this is separated. At this point, I'm going to push the cables in here, make sure that nothing is blocking the fan or the other areas here. So I am going to push this together so that everything lines up. All right, and then I'm going to push them together. They should snap together. There we go. All right. Make sure everything's lined up and then it will snap together. There we go. If you haven't already, there is a plastic cover on the lens to protect it during shipping, so you can peel that off at this point since it's now installed. All right, so as I mentioned, I have part of the rear camera cable here. I am now going to just tuck it behind the headliner, and then I'm going to go to the corner. And then I'm going to go around here. Let me move the visor back to its position. And what I need to do is have this go around to this section right here. And then I'm going to have it go to the weather stripping area. So let me do that, and then I'll show you the rest of the way. One thing is that there's an airbag here. So what we're going to do is route the wire so it's in this area here, so it's nowhere near the airbag. All right, so I have the wire now. It went underneath this area here to the visor area, and then I'm going to just snake it all the way along the top of this panel, all the way down to the rear. So here I'm on the outside of the car. To give you a better view, I find it easier to pull the weather stripping down so that you can access the headliner, and then you can just route the wire just underneath the headliner and have it go all the way along this area. It's going to go along the inside here all the way down to the lift gate. So once you've passed the B pillar, you're going to route it all along the headliner here until we get to the rear door, and then we're going to go down here. Going to move the weather stripping down a little ways here, and then we're going to route the wire down and around to the back. It's probably easier to do that through this area here than above here. I don't know, I may be able to do up above. It just depends on how you want to do it. And also, one thing I have to mention is that this area above here has airbags. So be super careful to route it so that it doesn't interfere with any of the airbags. And if you're concerned with that, you could just route it down along the bottom of the door threshold, all the way through here, and then back up. So it's up to you how you want to route the cables. So here's the rear door, and I am going to just tuck the cable inside of the headliner here. Here's the rest of it. I am just going to route this behind. And if you want to give it a little extra push so it fits in here so you won't be able to see it. I'm going to keep on going here along the top here until I reach this edge. And then this is where the liftgate's going to be. Here we have another decision area. We have the wire coming out. I'm going to have it go underneath the weather stripping to about the center of the liftgate area. Then I'm going to most likely mount it in this area here. You could mount it to the actual liftgate itself, but I think that just adds extra complication. And if you have to get the wiring through these tubes, that would be kind of difficult. I'm not going to really worry about that. I think it may be just easier to mount it in this area here. I'll be testing it and seeing what it looks like. So here we have a look at the fully installed dash cam, and as you can see, it is fairly low profile from the driver's point of view. Pretty good. And we have the controls on this side right here. We have the power button, and we have a camera button. We have some LED lights. The lens is in this area here. And on the right side, we have the micro SD slot right here. So you insert the micro SD with the pins facing up into that opening. I found that if I use the plastic pry bar to insert it all the way, it works better. And then you can just put your fingernail in there to release it if you ever need to take it out to put it on a laptop or PC. At this point, I am going to start the car so that the dash cam turns on. I press the button to turn it on. I've downloaded the app and now I'm going to start it up. I am going to add camera, install the camera and power it on. Now I need to go and select Wi-Fi. So I am going to connect. All right, there we are, CarCam CM753. So I'm going to click on that. The default password is 1234567 Make sure to change that in the settings after you connect the phone. I'm going to join. All right, so now I am going to go back to the app. I am going to allow it. And let me try adding camera. And there we go. It looks like yes. So I have the camera in the rear is just sitting in the liftgate area right now. It's not installed yet, but I have the front camera installed and you can see it has a good view out there. Nice wide angle view, by the way. So interesting, you have a little button here you can press so you can see the picture full screen on the phone. So that is interesting. You can also download the files that are recorded on the dash cam to the phone itself, which is really handy. So you don't need to remove the micro SD card from the dash cam every time you need to see those files. So let's see, I am going to press the camera files button right here and that will show us what has been recorded. And yep, so we have some files recorded here. And so these could be downloaded to the phone. So let's see how long that takes. If I do this one right here, I'm going to press download. It is 83 megabytes. And it is going through the download process right now. Now, mind you, this is doing the download to the phone while it's still recording. So I may test it when it's not recording and see if it's any faster with the transfers. But as it is, it took a couple minutes to transfer the one file. So now I have that on my phone. So you got a whole bunch of other features on the bottom. You can share, edit, screenshot, save, or delete the files. And right now it's on loop mode. If you're not familiar with dash cams, they record usually from 1 minute to 5 minute segments, and then they start a new file, and they'll keep on doing that until they fill up the micro SD card. Actually, you know what? When it was doing that file transfer, it did stop the recording. So correction on that. Let's go into camera settings. You can record sound, which may be helpful to have. Here is the video resolution. It is 2560 by 1440 resolution. The loop record options are 1 minute or 3 minutes. I usually like to do 3-minute sections just for ease of use, since I a lot of times record stuff on long distance trips and it'll cut down on the number of files. Exposure compensation means how bright or dark the image is. If you find that your image is too dark, you can increase the exposure. So that is a setting. I'm just going to leave it on default right now. Timestamp is going to have the day and time. I think that's good to have. They have a driving collision sensing here. It'll have off, least sensitive, medium sensitive, most sensitive. So I'm just going to leave it least sensitive for now. Parking monitoring collision detection. We have off, least sensitive, medium sensitive, most sensitive, and off. I'm going to leave this on off because this will not be powered when the car is parked. Then we have the Wi-Fi name, Wi-Fi password, firmware version, format, and factory reset. And let's see, let's go to the back button and see what else we have on here. We have my camera, gives you information on the camera, firmware version, last used. Let's see, the plus version is if you're adding a camera, We already have ours connected, so if I need to start the app again, I'll just press access FITCAMX to get the camera. So once the videos are downloaded to the app, you don't need to be connected to the dash cam anymore. You can be anywhere and just click on the album button and then click on the video, and you can watch the video and you can do the sharing, editing, screenshot. And the biggest thing here is save. So if I press the save button, it will save it to the phone's photo album, and then you can see it on. So for example, I now have the video on my phone. I can see it in the photo app, and yeah, so there it is. What else do we have here? We have app settings. I'm just going to leave those default. Submit log. I guess if you have any problems, you can submit a log for service. And customer service, we have emails here and the website. Version upgrade. Let's see, is there an upgrade for this? Nope, current version is the latest. So that is the latest version. That is handy to have software updates over the air for the dash cam. And that's about it. Pretty simple app as far as that goes. If I go back and access the camera again, and there we go. So there's actually not a whole lot of settings on the camera. I'm used to seeing a lot more for the resolution or frames per second and some of the other information. So I'm guessing that's fine for now. So yeah, a little bit basic on the camera settings. So let me go in the back of the car and show you the rear camera. I'm going to open up the rear window. If you want to get a better image from the camera here, you're most likely going to have to mount it on the liftgate itself, which is going to require some more work because you're going to need to get the wiring to go from here to the liftgate. Now I'm going to play around with that because I think that is going to be the best solution as far as the image goes. So let me place it on the liftgate area here where I would expect it to go. I'm going to mount it to this area here and see how it works. I am going to be putting it right in this area here. It's right in the middle, so I get full coverage out of the rear window. All right, here we go. I'm going to have it very close to the glass, but not touching. Let's play around with the wiring. I think that is going to work. Let's angle the camera up a little bit. Let's see what that looks like. Oh wow, that looks pretty good. Here we have the rear dash cam installed. I have it lining up with the digital rear view mirror. So it is centered on the back, and I have the window down so I can get a nice close look at it. And as you can see, I have the wiring going up in this area right here. Let me open up the liftgate to give you a better look. So as you can see, I routed the wiring so it gets tucked in this area right here, and then right under the weather stripping, and then goes all the way that way, and then leads to the front of the car. I did it like this so that when it closes, it doesn't catch up on the weather seal, and I can have it fully closed and the wiring is not pinched, and there's no issues with the weather seal having the wire on it. So it is fully weatherproof, waterproof. So I don't need to run it through these grommet hoses to get to the upper area. So just routing it like this should work well enough. So that gives you a better view of how I did the wires. So when I do close it, it doesn't pinch the wires. And there we go. Now I'll show you what it looks like with the rear glass raised up. So obviously with the tint, you really can't see the dash cam behind it, but it is there. Here are some views of driving with the dash cams. You can see on the bottom, we have the front camera with a 1440p resolution and the rear camera with 1080p resolution. I have them scaled to the correct sizes with this being run on a 4K video. Now we see the front camera 1440p blown up on the full 4K video here, so full screen. And now the rear cam with it also full screen. Here's some nighttime pictures with the exposure at +2. The exposure at 0. And the exposure at -2, which is what I recommend for nighttime driving. And here's some actual video of the exposure at -2 while driving. You can see the rear camera up top and the front camera on the bottom. And now we have it scaled for the full screen. And we have it scaled for full screen for the rear. Back to the front. And one last time for the rear camera. And now for the conclusion of the video. I've been using the dash cam for a week now, and I want to give you some of my positive and negative thoughts on this dash cam. On the positive side, fairly simple to install, and the power hookup is really easy since it uses the power that's right next to it. You don't have to route any cables. You don't have to go to a USB port or a fuse box. So as far as installation goes, that's pretty awesome. Second is the OEM look of the dash cam. It is built into the structure of the mirror. It's just a little bit bigger than the original. So I think it looks like it came from the manufacturer. So looks pretty awesome to me. As far as the rear camera goes, the installation was fairly easy. There's a very long cable that easily reaches the back of the car. You have a couple different options for mounting the rear camera. It could go on the top of the opening itself, so just inside of the liftgate door, or on the top of the liftgate. So you get two different options for placing the rear camera. I found it to have the best visual quality when I mounted it on the liftgate itself. As far as use of the dash cam, I found that the ability to use it with your phone makes things really easy. You don't really need to do anything on the dash cam itself. There's a power button that you just need to press once when I did the setup, but now every time I start the car, it automatically starts up when the car is on. It also will turn off when the car goes to sleep. The software itself is pretty easy to use. It connects to my phone via Wi-Fi, and I was able to download videos. I don't need to remove the micro SD card from the dash cam unless I want to transfer a whole bunch of videos. For example, if I go on a multi-day trip and I want to get all of that video off the card, I'll just take the card out and put it on the computer. But if it's just a single video or two that I want to get from the dash cam, using the phone is a much easier way to go. Now on to the negatives. I found that the image quality at night was a little problematic. You need to turn down the exposure to -2 for night, or otherwise the license plates get blown out from the exposure. I did suggest that they make an HDR feature on the dash cam that will adjust the exposure so that during the night things like the license plate do expose correctly. So hopefully they are able to implement that in a future software release. The other negative I have is that there's too few options in the settings. I usually like to have more control over the ability to change the frames per second and the resolution. They are fixed on this camera. There are some things you can change, and that is good, but I'd like to have more fine control over the dash cam camera itself, the lens features, and video features. Hopefully they can add that in future updates. I don't see why that's not possible. As far as image quality itself, during daytime, looks pretty good to me. The front camera is a 1440p and rear camera is 1080p, so standard HD for the rear and kind of like a halfway in between HD and 4K for the front. They also offer a full 4K for the front camera, but I didn't receive that one for testing. And if you are interested in purchasing this dash cam, I would definitely recommend getting the 4K version, because the more resolution, the better for dash cams. I feel I've previously had full 4K dash cams and I prefer those over the lower resolution versions. And the version that you can purchase with the 4K front also comes with a rear camera. And that's another thing. This is my first 2-camera dash cam, and I really like that. The ability to record the front and the back on the same micro SD card and at the same time is very, very nice. You get 2 different files. You get the front file and the rear file. So you get both full recordings that you can download or copy from the micro SD card. So that's really good. And like I mentioned, the only downfall I feel is at nighttime, it is a bit of a issue with certain license plate angles. So for example, straight on, I find that it reflects, but if the license plate is off to the side, it usually gets it pretty well. And I noticed there's a bit more noise at night than I'd like, so hopefully that could be fixed too. So overall, I feel that there are more hits than misses, and I would definitely recommend purchasing this dash cam for the Fisker Ocean. I really like the fact that it is custom made and it fits in the area. It doesn't block your view either from the front or the rear of the car, so can't ask for anything better for that on the design. If you're interested in purchasing, I have links in the video description. I also suggest getting the circular polarizer for the lens, for the front and the rear. Those are optional accessories, but I think they really cut down on any reflections in the car. A lot of cars have reflections of the dashboard into the windshield glass, and getting the polarizer filters that out and gives you a better image quality. So I suggest getting both of those accessories when you order the dash cam. And if you do order the dash cam, use my code. I have it in the video description and you can get a discount. I think you'll enjoy this dash cam. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.